Hi everyone. So in this video I am going to talk about payment service. So in this payment service I added few functionalities that would sophisticate the process of payment in Google Pay. So sophisticate the process of payment, right? So what kind of functionalities this payment service should provide? So once I open, let's think about it. Like if I open a Google Pay app and I want to transfer money to another user. So what I need to do, I need to either type his number or type his UPI ID. So typing his entire number and typing his entire UPI ID every time is not a good experience. So if there is a way to get the suggestion immediately rather than every time me giving his entire number or entire UPI ID, that would help me to do the payments faster. That would this is what I mean by sophisticate this process. Payment service class will sophisticate this process. So to give me those suggestions by Google Pay, so this function would be called get payee suggestions. This will return list of contacts. So those what kind of contacts we need in the we need to that needs to be present in those list of contacts, that is written by get payee suggestions function. So in those list, the first thing I could that comes to me is all the previous transactions numbers, contact details, all the previous transaction UPI IDs, contact details, and then the contacts that were saved into my mobile number. So to get those details of mobile contact saved in my mobile number, get payee suggestions need to have permissions to read the contact details. So this will get payee suggestions will ask one time it will ask for one time permission to access contact details in the mobile in the device. If you allow, then it will show you the contact details in the suggestions as well. If it doesn't, if you don't if the user don't allow, then those suggestions won't come up in Google Pay. Okay, so now we have the list of numbers and UPI IDs for which we want to get contact details, and we want to show those contact details as suggestions. So what information should be in these contacts? So these are the information that needs to be present in contact. One is the bank verified name. By seeing that bank verified name, I will be able to understand to which user I am sending the money, and then the phone number, and then the UPI ID, the primary UPI ID, and then the profile logo. So these are the information that are required. So to get those information, Google Pay can query its database. Let's say it can query its database to get that information. I will give the mobile number and then it will query the database to get the contact details. That looks fine, right? But say for a number, it has an account and it has an UPI ID and that account has the primary UPI ID. Now I have updated the account. I have updated the mm, I have updated the account name, but this update of account name will be done in the bank. Bank database will get updated, but not the Google Pay database will get updated, right? So every time I update an account details, then Google Pay database also need to get updated. And also that is one drawback of having a Google Pay one database. Like every time it has to be in sync with the bank database. And also accessing the bank database itself is not an ideal situation. Like other third party apps are able to access your bank details data, then that is not an not every user they don't want their account details to be accessed by any other apps directly. Like entire details should be entire account details, they don't want to expose the entire account details to all the apps. So that's why Google Pay, what it does, it makes a third party call. So that third party call is payment service provider, which I have modeled as a class. So this is the payment service provider, and it provides a functionality fetch contact details by UPI ID or by number. So if you want contact details of an UPI ID to which you have done previously some transactions, that is the and if you want to fetch that UPI ID contact details, then fetch contacts by UPI ID can be called to get the contact details of that UPI ID. And similarly, to get contact details of the number, we can use fetch contact details by number to get the contact details of that number. Okay, so PSP is provided by a bank. So what if this bank itself holds an account which has the primary UPI ID linked to that account itself? So then this PSP bank don't need this PSP provider bank don't need to contact other banks, right? To get to know for a given mobile number which bank has which bank has the primary UPI ID linked, associated, not linked, associated. So what it does is, firstly, initially what it does is it search its own PSP database, provider service provide payment service provider database. Let's say Axis Bank is the payment service provider, so then it checks in the Axis Bank database itself. I model this as a class in here also, and then all the accounts I have modeled them as a list of accounts. So given the mobile number, by using the get by mobile number, we'll pass the mobile number and it will check all the accounts. So an account has a name, a mobile number, account number, IFSC code, UPI enabled or not for this account, and then the primary UPI ID. So primary UPI ID, if this account itself is the one that is linked to the primary UPI ID for that mobile number, for this mobile number, then this primary UPI ID won't be null, and then it will be some value, it will have some value. If it is not the primary UPI ID for this mobile number, then it will be null. So now we are checking with that mobile number, and then if we see the mobile number which is passed in the arguments is matching with this mobile number, and then the primary UPI ID is not null, then I know that this bank has the primary UPI ID associated. Then from this account object, I can send what are all the information that is required, that I need to populate into contact, and then I can send it back to the payment service. If in case the number doesn't have any account with the Axis Bank, or say it has an account but still it is not the primary, doesn't the account is not linked with the primary UPI ID, then it has to talk to other banks. One payment service provider cannot talk to multiple banks, like it is not a secured and it is not an ideal way. So there need to be some party in between to make this communication more secured, and then to make it more secured, right? So that is where this National Payment Corporation of India service comes in. So this is a third party service, and this payment service provider talks to this, send a request to fetch contact details for this mobile number. So PSP cannot directly send only the mobile number. It needs to authenticate securely with NPCA service. So that's why a digital signature is required, and also a PSP ID is required. PSP ID is used to identify like whether this payment service provider is registered with the NPCA service or not. So with the help of PSP ID, if it is already registered, then it will allow that request, and then the request ID uniquely identifies each request, and then the mobile number with which we want to for which we want to get the contact details. So NPCA will talk to the bank with UPI enabled all with the UPI enabled banks, and then it will get the details of the contact, and then it will return those to payment service provider, and the payment service provider will return to the payment service. That is how the contact details of each number or UPI ID will be fetched by payment service, and then these will be displayed. So this is how the get payment suggestions work. So if you see contact fetch result, it has list of contacts and as well as list of errors. So while fetching contact details of each and every number, for some numbers the server might not be available at that time, and then so different errors can happen. So that's why you have this list of errors, and then list of contacts as well, for which we were successfully able to retrieve the contact details. Some numbers might not even have any bank accounts or UPI enabled with them in our contacts, right? So for those number, if you try to uh, fetch the contact details, then payment service provider will obviously throw an error for that number. So those errors will be saved into this errors list of errors, and then so as we have an user can have hundreds of contacts, and as well as hundred of different numbers for which he has done transactions, hundred of UPI IDs for which he has done transactions. So list of contacts can go into hundreds or thousands. So showing all the contact details at once is not an ideal way. So that's why we have get contact list function. um, this will paginate the list of contacts, like this will give 10 contacts at a time and 10 errors at a time, and then it will have has next boolean variable, and which will give the value of like, if it is true, that means there are still more contacts, and it can and the service can call get contact list again to get the next set of contacts. Yeah, this way we will be able to paginate the contact and show the suggestions, get in show the suggestions in Google Pay app. Yeah, that is for payment suggestions. In the next video I'm going to talk about get transaction details by number. Thank you.